Not adopted.
Oh.
I found it here.
myself to do that.
Whoops, sorry about that. Okay, hi everybody. Hello.
Hello.
March 10th, call to order. We can do a roll call, starting with Dennis.
Dennis Wiley.
Sakinai.
John Reuter.
Lauren Pfeiffer.
Bob Freshman.
Anna Kemp.
Anna Deneze.
Brandon Slider.
Brian Stewart.
Great. And did everyone receive the minutes that Dana sent out a
Yes.
while ago?
Yes.
Any comments or changes? No? Okay, minutes approved.
No, I
Great.
was going to move to approve them.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, I guess, do we need to make a motion? Okay, we do that, John.
Okay, I move to approve the minutes.
Second.
Great, everyone in favor of approving the minutes?
Aye.
Aye. Great. Okay, so first item of business anyway, update on current trail projects. Brandon and Brian, I put your name by this. Just kind of an overview.
Checked with Clay, and it sounds like, for the most part, everything's kind of the same as last time, but it sounds like you might have some kiosk updates.
Sure.
Oh, great.
So with the Bob and Crystal Riley master plan, moving forward with that, the sign package, 2 large kiosks, 1 for each parking lot, have been ordered. They're big boys.
Are they, was the poster that was in here the life size of the kiosk, Ryan?
Oh, that sign that was there,
Yeah.
that actually would fit as a map on there. So I don't know if I went too big, but either 3x4, and I think I did a 4x4, I don't know.
Great.
It's really cool, just the bigger I wanted to see, man, that looks really cool. But anyway, so one in the upper parking lot and then one down by the farmhouse. And then we also have on order all the initial stickers we need for the internal trails for the Carson Heights signage. So 4 or 5 different stickers to get launched at too. So as soon as they arrive, we'll be applying those. The kiosks themselves, they said they're about 8 to 10 weeks out.
Okay.
So they could come at a perfect time of year to install them, so that'd be
Yeah.
a good thing, along with the signage.
And they'll be freestanding somewhere?
I'm sorry I didn't bring an example, but yeah, they're
Okay.
bigger than that projection thing there, and hefty post, all weather material, very professional looking, they're really cool,
Awesome.
and they're expensive, but they're well worth it, I think, to last forever and a day. So that'll be exciting.
Do you want volunteers to help with the stickers?
When that time comes,
Okay.
yeah, that might be a good project for definitely people to help out with. I'll defer to Cray on that, how he wants to instigate that, Cray and Roger, or implement that, excuse me.
Okay.
So we'll go from there, but yeah, that could be a great thing to bring people together and do that. That'd be awesome. Other trail news,
Sorry, Brian, I have one more question on that. So will you still have paper maps available, or will it be a QR
absolutely.
code?
There's slots on there
Okay.
for that,
Okay.
and we'll have that. It's an opportunity for, it's 2-sided, so you can mount other signs on the back, you could have a place to hang your hat, you could do, there's all kinds of cool stuff you could do. You could have artwork on the back, and it's really cool. A lot of research went into it, but
Brian, question.
Awesome.
Since you said the big signs are 8 to 10 weeks out, if you get the trail marker indicators that you've ordered, can those be put up even before the,
we'll put those up immediately, yeah, once they
Because-
arrive.
they correspond to the maps? The
Absolutely.
printed maps that are already available.
They were developed off of that map that we all had a hand in, and yeah, I see no reason at all. That's definitely, they'll be the greatest thing we have. Once someone starts on a trail, they'll know,
Oh, yeah.
hey, I'm still on the Orange Trail, you know, or whatever. And so they're absolutely, we put those up right away with everybody's help.
And as Dana said, I'm happy to help with putting up the,
Well, I think
Yeah.
we'll engage with all of you. If the
Great.
more hands, the better when it comes to that. But, well, I better take that back, because that could be a real issue. How fun would that be if we just screwed it all?
Yeah.
They're stickers, right? So
Stickers.
we put another one on top of it, no
Yeah.
problem. So, yeah, so let's, yeah,
100
we'll
stickers
have
and posts.
our heads
That's a lot.
together before we go out there and do that.
We'll have to be supervised. Yes, for sure.
Update on the bypass trail. They're actually playing with Mother Nature right now, but that is moving forward. Their first step is building a road to get out to Hess Creek, where it's gonna cross over there, and installing their erosion control. So the first basic steps that go into a big project. The road is to, get your cranes out there to sink your pylons and start building that 590-foot bridge that goes over Hess Creek. So that'd be cool. That's where we're at with that. So that's really loosened up and come a long way. So that's very exciting. I'm really excited about that, to see that get even that first phase. That's going to be a cool loop you could do.
Brian, question on that, you mentioned the bridge, are they designing that so that, say, an emergency vehicle can access over there?
Absolutely. It's one of the main things that they have to have access to,
Right.
get to all parts of the trail. I know there's work being done at Ewing Young, that we employed NV5, and they've done feasibility studies and topo surveys, geological work, seismic design. Actually, we're at 75% for plan set on that for design.
And that's for the other side, right? And that's
That's
for
to
the
get-
11 acres on the other side.
When and if we have that opportunity to be ready to move forward with that. As you know, Clay and Casey, your staff are working diligently with the county to try to free that up and see how we can move forward, but so we don't want to be behind. If all of a sudden you get that opportunity, you want to have your plan in place. And that's a big part of getting approval, I'm sure, is to, you got to have your design and plan, and so that's exciting movement there. Just maintaining all the local trails there. They're busier than ever. It was really exciting. From the top of the hill all the way down to Ewing, the trails have just been, we've had such great weather, and so that's really exciting. I want to share with the group that you might already be on the loop, but it was, they reached out, Yamhill Saltwater Conservation District, Sustainable Newburgh, I believe, a couple other groups, but wanted to do something at an Arbor Day, and I chimed in immediately and said that CPRD would love to be a part of that, or, any part of that. They were reaching out to just everywhere. And so one thing that's definitely gonna happen is at the top of Shad Park, it's the true Arbor Day, it's a Friday the 24th. We're gonna have anywhere from 150 to 200 trees, large-sized trees, that we're gonna plant around the trail up there, and expanding the trail network at the top of Shad, and moving forward with some of the, actually, that was there's a master plan to that too, and there's several phases that are involved at Shad Park. And phase 2 is the development of the top, that you could have a shelter up there, a little gravel parking lot that we can come off of Crowd Creek, and then the trail system throughout there. And it's a beautiful place if you haven't visited the top, and I was really excited. I was there yesterday morning, parked out on the reservoir side, contemplating how do we move the gate and be able to safely do what we need to do up there. But how many people are actually accessing that park up there, walking their dogs and jogging, several people. So if you haven't discovered it, it's a butt burner getting up and down there.
What species are you looking for up there? I know there's some old oaks and.
So I'm working with Spada Nursery, and their availability they have. Quite a few natives, but I'm looking to create, so if you haven't seen the top, it's wide open right
Yeah,
now, right?
yeah.
So we have an opportunity to actually enclose those trails that go around there and create a forest and a vibe for around there, and then cut across, Roger, there's a few opportunities you can cut some more trails across there. And so it's a process. 150 trees seems like a lot of trees, but as we saw, like at Friends Park, it is a lot of trees, but you could do 500 trees up there to create a forest at the top there, or some kind of alley type thing, and so it's a start.
Are you gonna preserve the black walnuts that are up there?
I don't know if I think there's one left up there, but there's definitely older white oaks and stuff that we've
Yeah.
preserved since they've been up there. Mother Nature is taking care of it. It might have been one of the walnuts, over time. A couple years back, might have gotten struck by lightning or something happened there, but, and then there is like an oak savanna and a really cool turnout at the top there that you go through a cool area, and that's still nice and healthy. Opportunity there to work with groups on, for volunteering for pulling ivy and doing stuff, but it's not real, it's hardly bad at all, so there's not a lot of work there. But we could create a lot of work here and, sugaring up the trails and planting trees, just kind of like we did at Friends Park, and so I just wanted to put that out there.
Does that kind of connect eventually kind of down
That's great.
to the golf course trail
It,
kind of?
it is on the Heritage Trail, and it does
Yeah.
right now, no matter what, you have to go through the residential area to get to it. But you can come off of two different ways. You could do the Getman Loop, and then you could do the back by PCC and then by George Fox campus, or you can jump right into going behind hole number 5. And that's a really cool, unique area, and that is gonna actually change quite a bit when the bypass comes through. And those holes change back there, but the trail system's actually gonna benefit quite a bit, because they are actually gonna generate trails from the bottom of Rex Hill, coming towards Corral Creek. And then the golf course itself, our trail system is gonna expand within that area, that drainway that's there, behind the hospital. And going into the greens and then back up to Shad Park. And so that's exciting, and that's not too distant future. But, that's all I have for updates on trails.
That's awesome. Okay. Dan, I think you were going to give an update on the board meeting.
I don't know that I had an update. I had questions.
Yeah,
Did
I mean, we
everybody-
can, yeah.
Was everybody there, or do people watch the board meeting? Do we need to do an update, or?
Yeah, I missed the beginning when Clay talked about it because I was stuck with the family things. So if you can recap about what Clay said, I would appreciate it.
Well, I think his presentation is on file too, if you want to look at it.
Yeah.
He gave a presentation,
Oh.
kind of outlining the history, I would say, and then sort of presenting 4 different options for the board to consider. It was kind of a quadrant. And then there was lots of discussion, and the takeaway is that the board asked Clay to engage a consultant called, I have NV5 in my head, but it's something very similar. N5?
The C2?
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 Something.
Something like that, yeah. A letter and a number, like NV5, I think.
I think they're doing the how to launch evaluation.
No, this particular consulting group is only mountain bike consulting.
Oh, okay.
And what I learned too is that, I don't know if we talked about this in this committee, but let me back up here. And so the board instructions to Clay were to engage that consultant. It's roughly $10,000 to do a study in the district, all the parks in the district, for mountain bike access, what he would recommend for mountain bike access. And Clay estimated that that would take 2 to 3 months, and then he would report back. I asked, and I sent an email to everybody, I asked that our trail committee report be part of that agenda item. Jim denied that request, and so John signed up to speak, which was part of the agenda item, and gave the trail committee report out that we had worked on in our previous meeting as part of his public speaking time instead. So, did I miss anything?
I don't think so.
They had it on Newsburg. I don't know if anybody.
Oh, there was a good, yeah.
They did a nice little overview. But I
That's a
felt
good
like
point.
it was just very, I don't know if anybody got a chance to read it, but.
Have
it was,
not read it
It
yet,
was
yes.
fair. It was.
Yeah, it was good.
It was newsy.
Yeah.
Not a ton of details, but it had some nice pictures.
Not a good freeze frame of my face.
And fun. Anyway, so that was sort of helpful.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And I just had just kind of a handful of questions that I wanted to ask.
Yeah.
So it's probably, Brandon, more probably for your help. So one of the speakers was an attorney, personal injury attorney. And so he was talking about liability for the board and the individual board members. So my question was, and maybe you can, maybe this is a question to Clay, to the attorney for the Park and Rec. But I was wondering, as members of this committee, would that also apply to us individually? So that would be a question for the attorney to answer. And then also, I was interested in a copy of the insurance policy that the Park and Rec has for this board, these members on this board, on this committee. So if we could get a copy of the insurance policy so we know exactly what, you know, it covers for us. And then I was also wondering if the staff, probably Clay, had contacted CPRD's insurance carrier, and has the insurance carrier underwriting, and are they aware of the possible changes to the policy at Riley Park? And usually the underwriters will give an opinion of that to the district, so I wondered if that work had been done yet. Yeah, and then maybe you could, maybe that could be sent out before the next meeting, have the attorney write something, and then have Clay maybe write something too. Okay, and a copy of the policy, okay. So 3 things, the opinion from the attorney, a copy of the insurance policy that the Park and Rec has, and then if the insurance carrier had been contacted, and is there an opinion from underwriting as far as the change?
The mics need to be 3 inches from,
Oh,
if I'm
Can you not
reading
hear
that
me?
right.
I'm sorry, I'm not hearing what you're saying. Could you repeat what you're requesting?
I'm requesting, maybe I should just talk louder. I was requesting from the CPRD attorney, just wanted to know if there was liability for the members on this committee, like there is for the individual members on the board.
Why would we need liability? We're not making decisions.
Well, that was what I have questions to ask the attorney, so I just wanted the attorney to write an opinion on that.
If you're asking an attorney to write an opinion, that costs money. There's.
Well, I don't have a law
I don't-
degree, and so I want to make sure that
I
we're
don't support
covered.
that. I don't
And so-
see any reason to do that. And I don't support it.
Well, Dennis, there was lots of discussion in the board meeting. There was lots of discussion in the board meeting about liability. And I think
for the
it's a
park-
fair
for the Park
question.
and
I'm
Rec
not finished
district.
speaking. I think it's a fair question that we understand as volunteers if we have any of that liability, trickle
Why
down
would
liability.
we ever have liability?
don't
if
know,
we're not
but I don't
making
think
any
it's a safe
decisions?
assumption.
Just use common sense.
Okay.
I
Next
don't
item.
think we as a committee should be requiring the district to spend money on an attorney for a question that is no reason to
Well,
ask.
Clay can come back and say that he doesn't want to, right? But it's fair for Dana to ask the question, and it's fair, just like if you
Okay.
feel comfortable with it, that's fine.
I have a personal experience, and so that's why I'm asking the question.
Yes,
We are not a decision-making body,
we understand that.
nor were we elected.
We were appointed by the
We were
board.
appointed, we weren't elected.
I understand that.
Okay.
Well, you got my questions right, Brandon, so I think I'm,
So Clay
Yeah,
can determine
I've got
what
the
he.
questions. I'll
Yeah,
chat with Clay,
think I'm
and
done.
we'll make sure it's clear, and then he'll handle what level
Clay,
he's-
Clay here.
Oh, Clay's here, actually.
Oh,
I
hi,
forgot he
Clay.
was zooming
Hello,
in.
Clay.
Perhaps Clay has the answer.
Howdy. So I am 99% sure the CAC, because they are not elected and because they have no decision-making authority, possesses no individual liability. It's only in very limited circumstances that the board members end up incurring individual responsibility for the actions of the district too. And that's usually when they have been negligent in something that is typically a fiduciary responsibility. So I appreciate the sensitivity on mobilizing our attorney, and on some of that, I would concur that the CAC does not have the ability to direct staff to do anything, nor for us to expend funds on certain services. That said, I want to make sure that our folks who are functioning as volunteers in whatever capacity feel comfortable continuing to do so. So I'm happy to ask our attorney to give us an opinion. It'll probably be a very brief one, because I think it'll be a short, concise, the CAC has no decision-making authority and therefore they have no liability in all but the most extenuating of circumstances. You can always incur liability for doing something completely boneheaded and unreasonable. So that's the litigious society that we live in, but I would say under most circumstances, within reason, the volunteers and CAC members are not going to
appreciate that.
have individual liability.
And I appreciate that, Clay. Thank you for checking. And the reason I ask is because, anyone can sue anyone, and it's not whether it's guilty or not guilty. You still have to defend yourself. And so I think that's where my question is really coming from. So
But-
I appreciate you checking, and also the insurance policy that covers
Yeah,
any
so
volunteers.
the insurance policy, I'll see what I can give you. Is there something specific about the insurance policy? Insurance policies are pretty big and they have lots of parts because it's a policy are you looking for the contract, like our most recent renewal and our thresholds?
I'm looking for the details as far as coverage goes. So if there was somebody to file a suit against us, what kind of coverage do we have? And just from my personal experience on another board that I was on, each policy is different, and so just wanted to understand those details.
Right. And as a governmental body, ours is pretty broad in nature. And so we did meet before the board meeting, met with our insurance provider, which is SDIS, Special Districts Insurance Services. And so that's a pool-based service similar to how cities across the state use CIS. We use SDIS as the insurance provider. And then in this past year, we've switched over to a new insurance agent of record, which is Brown & Brown. And they're part of the reason we chose them when we got a handful of quotes from different competitors was that they specialize in working with local government bodies and special districts. And specifically, they're also the insurance agent for the city of Newburgh, Yamhill County, and the Newburgh-Dundee School District. So they've kind of got a clean sweep on the local government bodies in the area. But part of that is they have a really good technical knowledge. So I had reached out to our insurance agent and our insurance provider separately, and then I had a meeting with the two of them simultaneously to ask that question: how would our insurance policy and insurance coverage be impacted if there was a use change at one of our parks, specifically Bob and Crystal Riley Park, through the reintroduction of bikes that had been out there up until 2023, but were officially removed from the park in 2023 and haven't been out there since. And they said that it wouldn't affect our insurance coverage. We would still be covered, that use would be covered, because we have lots and lots of different uses covered and they don't single them out. They would also be happy to consult with us if there were changes, like they do in any situation where we're looking for advice and making sure we're using best practices associated with risk and safety, and that we're ensuring those measures where and how we can. So they've gone out and in the last, I think it was last May, maybe June, that I actually went out with our insurance provider to Bob and Crystal Riley Park and to Billick Park and the Aquatic Center and several other places where we looked at all sorts of different facilities. And that whenever they do those, they have some things that they'll make suggestions as they go around, whether it's switching out the material used for a basketball net or adding covers to the sprinkler system at the Aquatic Center, or any number of things, even realigning where a porta potty is located with respect to a storage shed and those sorts of things. So they can be very helpful. So they'd offered to assist us with any of those if there are access changes, and especially where there's different user groups, and try and talk to them about risk and what they refer to as loss prevention, but that's still getting back to risk and safety.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Anything else on that agenda item? Okay. Moving on, and sorry, I had my words mixed up on this next agenda item, and I think we had asked Richard if he could possibly pull up the website so we can kind of all see what we're talking about. Richard, I'm not sure if you're able to do that. And basically, this is John's agenda item, but what we wanted to do, and looks like John has some printouts for us, is take a look at some of the things that are listed under Parks and Trails here, specifically when you click on Chehalem Heritage Trails. And I think tell me if I'm wrong here, but the way I look at it is that Chehalem Heritage Trails is kind of a heading for the others, but there is, when you click on Chehalem Heritage Trails, which is what Richard just did here, there's a number of plans and links and things, so we thought it might be, and we mentioned this last time, so I hope everybody took a few minutes to look at this, but we just had some questions and things that maybe we could look at to try to suggest updates, because I think there are some outdated things here, and I'll hand it over to John.
So I've been looking at this, primarily just the first level is how would a user get in here and see what's going on with the trails? And when you get to the parks and trails, that pull-down menu, just from that, if you go to Chehalem Heritage Trails, which is the page we're on now, it's really more about the advisory committee. Chehalem Trails, Heritage Trails Advisory Committee. It's got the documents, it's got stuff about the ongoing projects, and then it also links to the trails. But just from but then if you go back to that sort of top screen there, and just pick any park, like say Shad Park Loop, or just like underneath Heritage Trails.
Right there, yep.
there, then you really just get right to the park. And so if you're a user, you're coming in, what's going on with these parks, you don't really want to see all the advisory committee and the supporting documents. So I would just suggest maybe moving that Chehalem Heritage Trails link to the bottom of that list and say that it's the advisory committee and strategic planning documents. And
Because,
the other thing I just wanted to
Yeah.
suggest is when you first come in to parks, what you do, main page, parks, like, if you go back to the splash, that pull down screen, and go way up to the left of that little box, right, the next one down, yeah, that. The next one up, yeah, right there. You get this really nice thing that works well on a computer, looks good on a computer, but it just doesn't quite come through as being usable on a phone. And so I don't want to get rid of that, but I just think having a simple map right there, and not a Google interactive map or anything, but just like a picture map would really, I like this interactive thing, and I like all the stuff that's there, but it just, so anyway, I did that just sort of from navigation, because we're asking, when we're up at Bob and Crystal Riley, we're asking, well, how are people finding out about this? Well, they go to all the different trail apps and get information. Well, that's fine, but if we wanted to highlight something or put a notice there or something, it'd be better to have a shorter path for people to find out what's going on. And
Yeah.
then the final thing that Lauren's referring to is that under the Heritage Trail thing, there's several really nice documents that are there that people put a lot of work into. Those things, Strategic Plan 2010 and maps. Those documents have just a lot of great ideas in them. And, before they get buried just too deep in our memory, you know, to go through and see, are there some, yeah, this, yeah, I really like that map, something like that, but it's a little busy if you're on your phone and you're over 70 years old. And, and you're driving, oh wait, no, we don't. I'm just saying, but those other documents, I think that's the lead into what you were.
yeah, because I think, and I don't think anybody, it's 2010 and 2012, so it's a long time ago, but I didn't realize this, but when I was doing a little bit of homework, I think that Chehalem Heritage Trails was a project, right? When you go into those plans, it looks like it was a project to connect, to have, I forget how many miles of trails it was, right? And connecting all these different parks together. And so I think it does, as John said, like, it's not just a heading for the parks. It's actually a project in itself. And so, which was like a 30-year project, I think. So I was curious as to, are the things that are happening now part of this, or what happened to this plan? Because it's really cool when you look at the map. Yeah, like that third map there. Sorry, one more down, Richard. Yeah, that one. It's sort of like we talk about the bypass, how it's going to connect X, Y, and Z, and be a destination for people. This is that, and it's. I'm just wondering what happened to this.
Looks like a lot of work went into it.
Yeah, it's
Well, the
150
bypass-
pages or
The
something.
bypass came after this.
Right.
And then redid this trail, but it's also got the river
The river.
trail and the access and some other, it refers to some other things from Dundee that I just could never find anywhere. The river district plan for Dundee, it was just, which again was gonna be trails that got Dundee down to the river. So, so you can partly see that if you came into the heritage trails and you hit one of these maps, you might think there's a trail
Yeah.
in the river, and and they're the maps are, I love maps, and so they're so nicely done. It's just
Yeah, they're really nicely done, but they're not accurate
So John,
for
what
what's
if-
there today.
John, what if the planning documents were just separated
Yeah,
out?
just-
That that's a separate page entirely,
Yeah.
because these long-range plans, they can be last forever. It may not make sense to a user that wants to go to a park and see a trail. And then the other
Right.
part would be for each of the parks that have a trail map, then there'd be a page for that. But pull out all, and I
Yeah.
agree with you. I always got lost from like what is now and
Right.
is this a plan or is this what we're working with today?
'Cause
And it's difficult to
yeah.
pull that all out.
If you go to that front, that top
Yep.
menu thing, you hit the trails like by the parks, or you do the little booklet that's really good, or those sorts of things. You hit those already, and then to be under the Chehalem Heritage Trails, that's all redundant. So it's
Right.
like listed multiple times. So I think there's little just navigation confusion about building. It's a pretty complex website with a lot of additions, and stuff.
Richard, are you the webmaster too? Is he monitor the web page?
No kidding.
Oh, okay. Okay. It looked like you were making changes on the fly there for a
Are
minute.
you a robot?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so, yeah, I think there's work to be done, just I think to make it more user-friendly. And then I think we have the question about, what happened to that plan? And are we still on this 20, 30-year journey with what's happening today or not?
Is that a recommendation we'd want to make to the staff, that if there's a chance that they could relook at their website and to make things a little user-friendly, that we've found it confusing to have the planning documents kind of mixed in with current park operations?
Yeah, I guess, is that something that we
Oh,
do in our report out at the board meeting, or is?
okay, good.
Okay, great.
Okay. Okay.
So, yeah, Clay or Brandon, is that something that we include in our report out next board meeting and make that recommendation, or?
Yeah, sure. I think it'd be good for all the board to hear this, because I totally agree. Visiting the website sometimes gets a little messy. Kat's juggling. I don't know how she does all her jobs, but yeah, I had heard that there was some website things working in the background. We'll see how it turns out, and I'm sure it'll be awesome. But having something that's newer than 2010, I'm sure would be a benefit. So, just
Yeah, and I don't think it's new content, it's just organizing how it's accessed, yeah. There are, I also, if there is being work done on the webpage, since we now have the new map for Bob and Chris O'Reilly, there's a lot of the old map. There's a link to the new map, but there's a lot of the old map, like embedded in the 4 ways you can get there on the webpage. So I imagine that's on the list too, but.
I have a question to, is Richard, right, who
He's driving.
he is driving?
Yes.
And he said in the middle of changing, in the in the project of, update the website, is it going to be more like for a phone friendly to use too? Like for someone 70 years old driving and looking for trails? That's what I'm being told. Okay.
Great.
When, sorry, Miss, when was that web change going to be completed, did you say?
I don't think he said.
Okay.
Yeah.
Never.
3 to 6 months? Okay. Thank you.
So maybe, maybe what might be helpful is that if everybody has time between now and the next board meeting is is 2 weeks?
April.
Sorry, the next CPR board meeting is March 26th, right? So roughly 2 weeks. If everyone has a minute and wants to jot down a few things, a few suggestions or some areas of confusion, and then we can send all that to John perhaps, and then he can summarize the recommendations. That makes sense?
Or we can start what John suggested and go from there, because John seemed to have a pattern of what we need to be done, and then we follow that instead of, I just like things to be easier.
Yeah.
Follow John,
Yeah.
and then we can add, hey, John, add more, or delete this and do or something. That might be a lot easier, because we all in agreement that
I'll do that.
it's a good thing that the website need to be updated from 2010, and we follow John, and then we will add the comments on the point.
Okay.
That make things faster, and within 2 weeks, we all can share the comments.
And I like your idea, just, we need to keep the content there
Yeah.
somewhere. Archive it so we can go back and look it all over. and,
Yep.
But that's one of the risks
Right.
of going to phone-friendly stuff, is you drop PDFs and you drop, whatever.
Cool.
All right.
Good. I think that's all. That's the end of the agenda, actually. Do we want to talk about next agenda or other ideas?
I wanted to actually put a motion on the table that we, as a committee, accept the findings of the consultant's report and support the decision that the directors, the board, and the staff make regarding Crystal Riley, and we support and do whatever we can to help them make whatever it is a reality.
What report? Have we seen it yet?
The report
No.
that the consultants are doing on mountain bike opportunities in the district.
So personally, I would want to see the report first.
Okay?
Same here.
I don't want us to become a committee fighting the report, is what I'm trying to avoid.
So who's the consultant doing the report?
The
It's
C-
called, I don't know, Clay, are you still on? It's-
C2 Consulting, right? Is that the
I
name?
forget the name.
I just wrote down C2 Consulting from what someone said.
I'm not sure, I'm not certain that that's the proper name, but
Can I just ask one question about that? It sounds like what you're saying, Dennis, I guess, is as a committee, our CAC, we support whatever CPRD does with the board, because we're asked to give our help in specific ways and advice.
Right.
And so that's as a body, but that doesn't mean that we, there's sort of like, I'm an American, so I'm gonna obey the government because I'm a
Okay,
good
so-
citizen,
so-
but I may
so-
personally not love
So
Trump or something,
maybe
you know
we
what I mean?
don't, maybe we don't necessarily adopt the report, but as a committee, we accept whatever decision the district makes regarding Riley.
Right,
And not have us as a committee fighting it,
as a committee.
as a committee.
Yeah, and
I'm not saying as individuals, I'm
Yeah.
saying as a committee.
yeah, and I guess, yes, so I agree, but I also, kind of comes back to, I guess, board/staff, I think our group has been asked to do specific things, which has been to give advice where you had questions. Is that kind of what I'm understanding? So for instance, hey, we want to do this thing at these trails, can you help us get it measured, get, recommendations for signs? Right, that's what we just did recently.
Yeah, that was. Now you're getting into,
Why do we exist?
exactly. So
Getting-
as a liaison for staff or whatever, all the engagement I've had with all the trails committees that, this is the second group or whatever, there's been opportunities to do things on trails, volunteer days, cleanup days. On this particular group here, we're at a point where we were wanting to develop a sign package, so it was a great opportunity for people that obviously are engaged and want to volunteer and help with trails to do it. So, but the way it was kind of worded that you just asked me is a little bit different in terms of, hey, that is your purpose or my purpose or whatever. It was never like that. It's not structured that way for staff to provide opportunities for a trails committee. But that said, everything I just said prior to that is the awesome opportunities that exist. So that's the symbiotic relationship we have. Back to Chris Barnhart is the consultant that was hired, and he works for CJB. There's an
CJB.
acronym there that you were looking for.
No, it's his
FYI, to put that
initials.
in there.
Yeah.
Does that answer your question?
Well,
Or I don't even know if you
sort
had
of.
a question,
I feel like I
actually.
must have said something that wasn't right, and I don't know what that language
What-
was. As far as, not like wrong, but that you
No,
don't
no,
agree
no,
with.
and it wasn't wrong, but the way you worded it was, this is why this committee exists. I think I got
I'm
that.
asking. It was a
Yeah,
question.
and I'm not, I'm kind of saying no, that isn't the
Okay.
relationship of
Well, maybe maybe
advisory or volunteer advisory committees.
Right. I guess maybe I phrased that wrong. I saw it as,
And that was not negative, that's how,
no, I
yeah, I
understand.
heard it.
No, I understand. So the staff and the board had a question, okay, so I'll kind of maybe phrase it as a project. Here's a project, we would love to know what you think about this thing that we're doing. So we're doing this thing called widening the trails or whatever, although I'm talking about past work at the Riley Park, for example. And so a committee comes together and sort of.
But see, I don't think the board, so I'll stop you right there. There's where I have confusion or just I want clarity.
Yeah.
That I don't think it is that way, that the board said, hey, we have this project that we're doing widening, trails or opportunities.
Yeah,
That
we
never-
kind of came to
That never
you
came to
saying,
be.
"Here's where we can
Citizens,
help."
volunteers
Yeah.
came to a board meeting or whatever and said, hey, we love trails and we'd like to, we know you're developing trails and doing certain things. We want to be involved in that.
Okay.
People did that with golf also, with the
Sure,
golf
sure.
course. And they did it with pickleball, to be real specific or whatever, that we have interest and we know you're, whatever,
Yeah.
doing certain things.
So
So that's
then-
how the committees came to be.
Okay, so
It
the
wasn't-
invitation, because I responded to the invitation of we're looking for people
There you
to
go.
be on advisory
And it-
council
Yeah,
and I saw that as completely helping out with
totally,
what you were already
totally
doing.
helpful.
Not coming in and saying, what are you doing? But I mean, just kind of in a critical way. So I guess I sort of feel
It's
like,
also a discussion that we never finished our discussion about, what is the point of this advisory committee? Should they be
True.
standing committees?
True.
but that, okay,
Well,
but 2 years, but we
We've
can't,
never completed that.
maybe, but 2 years
process.
ago, that was clearly what was happening. That's why
I'm
we're all.
talking about a couple months ago.
No, we had that discussion whether we
I
were
know,
going to
but-
stay as a committee or, and the feedback that I heard when I brought up that topic for discussion is that we wanted to stay a committee
We have a
until,
term.
yeah,
That finish a term, but
right.
so in next November, there's no more committee.
Yeah, but after
Well,
the
that's up
end of the
to-
term, I'm not talking about what's ever after the end of the term. I'm not
Yeah.
even going, I'm just saying, it seems like what you're asking for, and this is where I just could be wrong, feels like, of course, we are to support what CPRD is doing.
A decision of the board.
What? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think because I don't know, I guess that's where I'm misunderstanding. It wasn't like, hey, can you all tell us what to do? It was, hey, we would love to have citizens involved in whatever that looks like to help be legs on the ground a little bit or have some brain experience or whatever for very specific at that time things. So I guess I just don't know if we have to be this group that's sort of throwing our support in or pulling our support out or
I'm
We
anything
just
don't.
like that.
saying,
I think we're
as a
just-
committee, do we want to fight with the board if we don't like their decision?
I feel like the easy answer is no, because we're
Okay.
here to support them.
Well, I don't
agree.
think
We're here to
anyone's
support the board. And that's,
anticipating
so
that.
I'm just saying, I was making a motion that we support whatever the decision the board makes after they can look at the study that the consultant completes.
But there's
Rather than us
no,
going back and
But we've
second guessing
never
and
not done
fighting
that.
with the board.
We've always done that.
That's the
Right.
wrong decision.
We've always.
nobody's anticipating that. We're not saying we're gonna do that, Dennis. I think we'll see what the decision is, and then
I'm just saying.
we'll
as a
interact.
commi-
I'm not done speaking.
I'm not saying as an individual.
I'm not saying as an,
committee-
I understand what you're
As a
saying.
committee, we support the board. That's all my,
Well, I don't
my
think that
motion is.
requires a motion.
Yeah, I think we just automatically do that.
Yeah,
We advise the board.
okay.
right, we
And I
advise,
think
yeah,
what-
and they don't need our advisement either. I mean, yeah, they can take it or leave it, right?
Okay.
But we're not.
So,
yeah, not supporting.
how many of you have had the experience that you get just a total off-the-wall consultant?
Plenty.
And they come in with just some sort of weird ideas, and then you get people to check it out from their variety of contacts. And you find out they're just sending you some boilerplate they did from the last job, and it has nothing to do with the specifics or whatever. And it can be very dangerous. When I worked at Portland State, we used to have the Turtleneck Club that would come in and tell us how to run the university every once in a while, and they were highly paid, way higher than $10,000, and they would come in with all these big words and trendy ideas, and it just was never going to wash. And so the best advice to our administrators was to put some distance. Don't just jump in on it. And so that's why I want to know who this consultant is. I'll look up some of the previous reports, compare them, like what's going on here, like what expertise does this person really have, and give advice to the board on probably whether they ask or not, give some advice to the board of like the validity of the report. Now, if it's well thought out report and helps them make some decisions or sets out decision paths, that would be great. But I've had some pretty poor
But that's a
experiences.
staff decision. That's not our decision.
We advise. We're an advisory committee. If we say
I
this
don't know if
this
we really are
report
an
is
advisory
really-
committee.
this report doesn't deal with these issues, you maybe want some more information, or this report looks a lot like the exact same page and pictures they used when they did it for some other district. That's the sort of groundwork we can do that can help save a lot of hassle down the way. So that's what I'm looking at. I'm not looking at
If you
undermining
think
the
that's
board.
our role, I'm not sure it is our role.
We're an advisory committee. An advice.
We don't know. That was the whole discussion. What is an advisory committee? We really don't act as an advisory committee. And that was one of the concerns that the district has.
Well, as
Well,
of
I've
today,
got plenty of advice, and it just sort of flows out. I mean, we don't vote on it, but even
All right,
just,
I withdraw my motion. I
okay,
just
well, I
wanted to make
understand
sure
where you're
my
coming from. We don't want to
statement
get
was out
tied into a loop here.
Right.
Right, within the committee.
I think it's a little premature. I think we see what happens.
I just
and-
want, I don't want to see a fight. That's all.
Yeah,
If I could,
oh,
just one comment
sorry,
is that,
okay.
I look at what our role is pretty flexible. There isn't a defined exactly what we can or cannot comment on. And I think that's a good thing, that allows us to look at more than just one or two very, set things. And I certainly want to have the ability to, regardless of what the board or staff decides, we still have the ability to give our advice.
Yep.
They are not bound to accept it, but we should have the ability to not have to agree with something, and our advice can be contradictory to that. What they do with it is completely up to them. I just don't want to be tied to having to be in lockstep with it with a specific decision.
Before Alan, can I ask? So, I think it's a good thing that CPRD Clay had going to hire someone to do the consulting, and I believe the consulting or consultant, the role is to make recommendations. And I just want to know that when the report comes, would they share with us before the board make decision or not? If we get a chance to go through it, and then we all can just say, hey, we think we can give advice on ABC or something like that. So I do think we need, if the report from the consultant company come back and we get a chance to read, I think we do that. And then if we agree with them, we just say, hey, we make a motion to accept what decision the board makes. So no argument, no fighting. Is that fair?
But we are doing that in a public setting,
Mm-hmm. And
so why be cautious about that?
I see.
Alan?
You'll have to come to the mic. Or up
At the
to a mic.
podium.
Either one.
I think we need to see the report first. Yeah.
So I was on the first Parks Advisory Committee, and we had some of the same questions that you're asking, and that is, what's our role? What are we doing here? And the first committee was sort of the brainchild of Don Clements, and came on the heels of the pool effort, where there was a real grassroots citizens effort to build support, to build the pool. And so Clements had the idea, okay, we're gonna do trails, let's have a trail committee. And it was never that clear if that was what the ask was, to go build community support. But that's another role other than the one that you're discussing about advising the board or not advising the board, is to be in the community and keep awareness high in order to build support for any future bond measures or whatever they're going to do. And I share your misery, because we had it too, and that's it.
Yeah, thank you. So I think right now, our kind of project that I think is hopefully helpful to CAT and CPRD is to take a look at the website, what John has outlined. John will provide an outline of what he thinks, and maybe send that around, and we can see if we have anything to add, and then we'll report out. Or perhaps they'll have us just send it along to CAT or something for information. And then,
Hey, Lauren,
I'm looking
on
forward to
that-
pressing on stickers.
On send the email, we cannot make decision, right? We can just.
We can make decision. It's not, so it wouldn't be a
Yeah,
decision. It's just like,
say,
here's what's,
what we need to add, or
yeah,
what
maybe you
okay.
put this heading over here, and, there's an old map on here, and things like that. I think that's fine. Yeah. Just kind of gathering information.
Okay.
Sound good? Mm-hmm. Okay, anything else? Okay, meeting adjourned. Thank you, Richard.
Box off.
Thank you.
I keep thinking